Sorry for the mishap, but we are back. Thank y'all so much for coming back on.
Hi.
Hey, Lakeisha. Hey, Tony.
Hi, everybody. As you're coming on, do what I'm going to do, which is take a moment and share this video so that everybody can watch us. Let's see. I'm telling all my friends, everybody that I've talked to join us now. So maybe you can say something and let people know that we're live and join us. They don't want to miss tonight.
Definitely don't want to miss tonight. It's going to be a phenomenal conversation. It's going to be able to bless your life for you who have been holding on to bitterness, anger, unforgiveness. Tonight is the night that we're going to help put some things in place to free you from those past hurts that you can move forward into the future that God has planned for your life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We're waiting on share.
We're sharing. I'm sharing. I want everybody I know to be able to join us tonight for this very special edition of Real Talk. Let's see. I'm going to make sure it's on our page. Hey, Lakeisha.
Lakeisha? Is that my sister?
Yes.
We are here. As you can see, we're trying to make sure we're all on here as well.
We're sharing. There you go. All right. I'll share it to everybody I know. You guys, it's your turn. Share so we can get everybody in on this conversation.
All right, we are ready. Just about. We're waiting for you guys, though. We're going to share.
Thank you guys for joining.
And we are excited. I promise you, we're excited.
We are excited.
If you want to send comments, questions, hit us up. We're going to be here to answer those questions as well.
Hey. And listen, the other reason I want you to share is because at the end of this segment tonight, we are going to do what we did in the former segment, which is we open the floor for people to ask live questions, to talk to us, and I'm going to put him in the hot seat because I know women, you guys have been inboxing me, you guys have been direct messaging me, some people have called me and said, listen, I'm going to be watching, and here are some questions I have, and I said, let's bring them to the show. And do you know what? And I know we have a lot of guys that watch. They don't say much up front, but guys, listen, one of the reasons we're doing this show is because what we're trying to do is have healthy relationships. And when we can find a place where there's something that's causing that relationship, even if it's a past relationship, if it still has some kind of bearing on our present, we want to make sure we can do what we got to do. And so, guys, if you are feeling like there are some issues with you, whether you are a non-custodial parent or, you know, an ex-husband or whatever, and you feel like a lot of what you're dealing with has to do with bitterness from a past relationship, and find out, maybe you want to chime in tonight. Maybe you want to say, hey, can you guys, you know, let women know that this does this to us when you guys do that. We want you guys to chime in and put things like that, because a lot of times, and this is the truth, a lot of times what you don't know will hurt you.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of times there are women that think their actions are making you do one thing and it's making you do completely something else. We need to hear that from you guys. We're going to have women watching tonight. Their friends are going to be watching. And we want you guys to, like we always say, we're going to be real, raw, and relevant. But what we definitely need from you guys is your participation and your feedback and input.
That's what we got.
Hi, I see you guys joining. Thank you.
Good people, we're about to get started. We have been anticipating this all since last week, actually.
Yep.
This conversation tonight, because I really think it's going to help to bless some people's lives and to help change your thinking and to change your trajectory so that you can go and become the person that God has called you to be.
That's right. Why don't you give them a quick recap about the series that we just finished doing?
Yes, we just finished doing part 1 and part 2, dealing with unhealthy soul ties. It was a phenomenal conversation. If you have not had a chance to look at those videos, please go to my relationship movement or go to our YouTube channel, My Relationship Movement, we talked about how women have a hard time letting go of those relationships that are actually toxic for us. It's like when you get that text message, you feel like you got to go back. But we want to actually help you to understand that when we're talking about dealing with unhealthy soul ties, a lot of those things keep us from going to that next level of our lives when we hold on to something that God wants us to let go of.
That's right.
So that unhealthy soul ties, part 1 and part 2, you really have to go back and look at those because I think they'll really help to bless your life. And I appreciate rather people who are still sharing that video, because really those videos really help a lot of people with their situations.
That's right. If you're just joining us, hit the share button because, and we want to make sure we're appealing to everybody. You might be a man who is dealing with an ex that is bitter. So you might be the man that has a bitter ex. And, maybe if you share it and they still stalking you on your page, maybe they'll mess around and see it. Or maybe some of their friends you're still friends with. But we really want to. Or women, you're bitter. And you know that, we have clans, we have groups that we get with. And so maybe you're thinking, me and my friends, we always have these same complaints. Share it so that they can get in on this conversation, because no friend wants their friend to be bitter.
And you want to make sure, as a matter of fact, if they're not able to watch tonight, just share this video to their page. You can share it individually to individual pages, and I think that they will have a chance to watch it if you do that, because they feel like you're so concerned about them that you want them to watch the video.
That's good. All right, are we ready today?
We're ready.
We are ready to get started. Once again, for any of you all that have never watched us before, this is the My Relationship Movement. It consists of 3 of us, and this is Lawrence Knight, and he is the enlightenment specialist. And what he does is come in and he gets us out of the dark. Sometimes we think we know something and we really have no idea, and so he brings some light into that. I am Elisa Lachelle, the empowerment specialist. I deal with, shaking you loose, making sure that you're walking after purpose, making sure that you're affirmed in who you are. And we have Dr. T. She was on with us last week, but she's cheering with us. She's still in a recuperation stage, but she is the equipment specialist. She does the healthy lifting. As a matter of fact, at the end of this show, we want you guys, if you really notice or if you really observe that a lot of what we're talking about, because we're not fix it quick show. This is not what we do. A lot of our job is to unveil these issues. Right. But Dr. T is a LPC. She's licensed to counsel and do this. And so you may know of someone that says, listen, this is a good start, but we need something a little bit more. Go on over to the My Relationship Movement team page and inbox us and just, put some stuff out there. We might really be able to equip you with some real tools that will help you fix those things that are going on in your life.
Yeah, and to sort of elaborate on what she was just saying, one of the things that we like to do in our spiritual Christian realm is we say stuff like, just pray about it. And that sounds fine. I promise you, prayer does change things. But there are times when you need some actual counseling to help get you past hurts, past pains. And so we have to be able to be honest enough with ourselves and say, do I really need some counseling? So you want to seek counseling from someone who you can confide in.
That's right.
Because that will help you put together some tools, some steps to get you to that next level.
That's right.
Because when you're holding on to bitterness, anger, unforgiveness, it's not hurting the other person. It's literally hurting you.
That's right.
And I had to learn that myself.
That's right. All right, we're going to jump right in tonight. And we are going to talk. I'm going to start with you ladies. If you guys follow me, hi everyone that's logging on, make sure you're sharing. If you follow me or if you follow the My Relationship Movement team, you'll know that I put up a testimony where I was very, very transparent about myself and my situation. And I'm going to do a quick recap about that because it kind of sets the stage for what we're talking about tonight. Years ago, I found myself divorced with 3 small kids. Now, in that marriage, and we're going to hit on some of these things, but in that marriage, it was rocky. And I can go through a list of stuff, mental neglect and emotional manipulation and infidelity and, money went to missing and bills not being taken care of, having to move 5, 6, 7 different times because of somebody being unstable with who they were, value differences, just a whole lot of things. I'm believing in this one thing, you're content doing something else. So there are a lot of issues that plagued that marriage. And so it got to the point where the healthiest thing for me to do was to get my children and I out of that situation. You would think that, and this is kind of leading up to what we're going to talk about, you would think that leaving the situation fixed it. Like, well, I'm no longer in a bad marriage, so I should be fine now. But what happened, and I said this in my video, when I left, there was a remnant of something still left. And we hit on this in our other episode, Unhealthy Soul Ties, which is I left, but I was angry. And it took a moment before I really realized that I was angry, but I realized that I was mad. I was mad, and I said this in this video, I was mad because now I had 3 children that I've got to raise. I did not plan on being a single parent. I did not plan on that. I certainly didn't plan on, once the divorce happened and we weren't together anymore, I was going to have to still do it. I at least thought there would be some co-parenting somewhere. I at least had it in my head that financially the children would get the support that they needed.
Yes.
I at least had it in my head that even though he wasn't there physically, somewhere along the line, he was going to be a constant and consistent person in their lives, that he would still make sure he was spending time with them. I had boys that needed a mentor. I had a daughter that needed a role model, and I did not get those things, and I was mad. Listen, mad. Mad got into bitter, and by the time I finished being bitter, I wanted to run him over with my car and then ride off into the sunset. And one time I wanted to leave the children there and say, you get them for a year and I'll just come back. But I was so angry until I realized that when you're angry, it makes you act out of character.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not in my character to act out, to be ugly, to have an attitude, that's not my nature. But I found myself, everything about me was changing, and that wasn't healthy for me. And so I realized that if I was going to be successful in my personal life, I had to figure out that there was a better way.
And for me, personally, I shared my personal story as well. 27 years ago, when my son's mom and I divorced, she actually left, and she told her parent, her mom, and her siblings rather, to not tell me where they were.
Wow.
And so for 6 months, I'm, like, wow, this is amazing. I can't even see where my son is. Can't even go visit with my son. So that went on, and then a whole lot of other things that happened even after that, which I'll get into a little later. And I was like Elisa, I was angry, I was bitter, and I actually, a couple of times had some crazy thoughts going through my head. But as she said, I had to find a better way, because I wasn't hurting anyone else but myself and my son in the middle of it, actually.
That's right.
And that's what we have to understand. It's not just you who's being affected. It's those who are connected to you who are also being affected.
That's right. And one of the things that we have to do up front is we have to dispel this rumor. Somewhere women, and I just got to come where we are because, I've dealt with this, and those of you all that have texted me or called me or inboxed me, I appreciate it. Somewhere we think that if we let go of the hate, we're giving that man a free pass. But that is not the truth.
Right.
It's not even, and I'm going to get into that, it's not even about him. You think it is. You think if I forgive him, or if I let my anger go, he just gets to get away with everything, and somebody's got to make him pay. But nobody deputized me. Nobody said, and you're the person that has to make him pay. So it was unfair for me to decide that I was the person that was going to get revenge. It was my duty to see that man was miserable. You're not going to be happy with me. You're just not going to be happy.
Period. Yeah.
At all. And that was not healthy. That was not the right way to do it.
Right.
And also, and the reason we're having this candid conversation is because a lot of times women, we don't like to look at it from another perspective. We can't see past the pain. And so we can't see past what we're angry about. We can't see past our anger. We can't see past our resentment. We can't see past our hurt. It's not occurring to us that when we get angry, we can get vindictive.
Oh, yeah.
When we get angry, we can get petty. When we get angry, we can be low down. And so somewhere I think we have it in our head, I'm going to make him pay. But we're going to have this quick conversation. When a woman decides there's an ex, and she decides, well, he didn't do right and he damaged me, I'm going to make him pay. I'm going to pull this away from him, and the things I can touch, I'm going to do that and do this. Is that going to make him change? Does that make a man say, you know what, she's doing this because I hurt her, so let me come back? Because women, that's what we hopefully, it's in the back of our head. That's what we're thinking. We're really thinking that if we show you guys how awful you've been, and if we let you guys know if you don't do this, we'll pull this back. We're thinking that's going to make you guys come to your senses and say, even if you don't come back, at least you'll be nicer or you'll come apologize. Is that what's a man's?
I don't think that's reality.
Oh.
I think the reality is when we see those traits or when we see those things happening, it actually pushes us further away because we're thinking to ourselves, if they go to this distance because I messed up or because it didn't work, and I come back and try to make it work and it doesn't work again, things might get even more critical. I was looking at the news, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, this girl got arrested here in Lee County. I think it was either here or Lee County. Mm-hmm. She went to her ex-boyfriend's house. She messed up his Porsche, his Corvette, his Hummer, 5 vehicles. She went and wrote all kind of cursing on it, how like that, on his vehicle. 5 cars. I mean, smashed windows, the whole 9. And this was a Caucasian young lady, so it's not just relegated to a certain ethnicity. But the bottom line is bitterness.
Right.
Because when people feel like they've been hurt, you played with my heart, they feel like I got to get back at you. And so in order to get back at the man, you ladies do things, but you don't realize that what you're doing is actually pushing us further away. We're not going back to that now because we think we might lose our life.
Yeah, but let me ask this though, since we're being real raw and relevant. What about the men who, after the woman walks away, and then you're hateful, but then now your hatefulness is you're stalking, and you're not stalking because you're trying to get back with us. You're stalking because you want to make sure that we're not being happy in the rest of our lives. You're stalking, or you're just you're showing up, trying to take. Because you knew me, because you were with me, you're trying to take advantage of people we knew together or things we did. And one of the guys, and thank you guys for speaking up, says because it's manipulation. But on the other end of that, because we're going to talk about both sides. There are men that are, I don't know why they do this, and there are men, and I guess it's because they're angry and they're saying, "You're who I wanted." Is that what they're saying? And so now, because you're not with me, I mean, what is that?
A lot of that stems from also when a man finds himself at a place where he's lost someone who may have been real dear to him, or he realized after the fact that this was the right one, I messed up. They're going to try to do everything they can to get back to her, but at the same time, a lot of that just stems from the fact that if I can't have her, I don't want you to be happy with nobody else. And I think that's how. And again, I say this every single week. I'm not speaking for all men,
right?
But those men who are stalking. And then a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't want anybody else around them because of what they're thinking as it relates to how she may treat him. And again, it's one of those things where the men just feel as if, I messed up. I don't want nobody else to have her if I can't have her.
Not good, people.
It's not good. It's not good.
None of this is good. And so what we're noticing is, though, this is sending a bad cycle. It's creating a bad cycle, because now what you have is the get back cycle. So he did this, and now I got to get back at him because I got to do this. And now, because I did it, now he has to make a counter move, and now we're getting back. And so and somewhere, for some reason, you have had to tell yourself, any interaction is good interaction.
Sure.
And that's the lie I think we tell ourselves is some of us keep this cat and mouse game up because it keeps that person constant in your life. That's sick. That says something is not right. And hear me, because we're talking about this for real. There is something not right. And I don't know why this video keeps cutting off, and every time it cuts off, it goes down one. So I'm not sure if we're skipping. If we're skipping, let us know. I'm not sure if we are or not. If you guys can hear us clear, give us some thumbs up or some hearts. Let us know everything's
we'll make sure you hear
running
everything.
smooth. I think what happened. Thank you. Not really. Right. Yeah, because I keep stopping. Maybe yours is running smooth. Okay, great. So what happens is this is a very, very unhealthy scenario for us. It's not helping us personally. It's hindering our lives. And I know somewhere we think we are getting even and we're getting our revenge and we're getting our due diligence. But what we're really doing is damaging ourselves. And if there are children involved, and that's the bigger thing we're going to talk about tonight. If you are in a relationship or we're in a relationship and there were children or our children involved, the damage goes way past you. You are creating something that's going to resonate past you and your child. It's going to go. I just had a case just this week where a mother 18 years ago hated her husband because of what he did to her. Fast forward 27 years later, her daughter husband left her and now she hates him the exact same way. And her mother said, because I didn't forgive and I can't and I won't, but I had to talk to her and said, but listen, there's a legacy falling behind. Your daughter has never seen you happy, so she has no idea how to be happy. All she knows is you're full of resentment and anger, so that's the only emotion that she's able to identify. We've got to break the cycle, because if it's not broken, do you know what happens to her children?
Goes down the line.
Number one, they already have a misconception that whoever they're going to get with is going to do something wrong to them. And so they're already prepared to be angry. They're already prepared to be defensive. And that's not a good cycle.
At all. And that's why, you have to understand that your reactions not just only reflect you or have something to do with you. It actually has to do with anybody who's attached to you, your kids, whoever you may be living with. So we have to make sure that we understand all of our decisions of anger, unforgiveness, they're not just affecting us, but they're affecting those who are connected to us.
That's right. And he said something else too, and it's true. What about the other people in the family? See, we don't realize that, even if you don't have kids, if you were in a relationship and then it split or it, messed up, you have other family members that when you get mad and when you're ready to be vindictive, and ladies, you just got to tell the truth, it's not healthy to go get your squad and your cousins and your sisters and everybody, and now you guys have an army against this person, and all of a sudden now there's a bigger cycle being created. All of this stems from in-laws, absolutely. All of this stems from one angry person that have decided, listen, I was done wrong, let me tell you so that you can get on the bandwagon with me, and all of us are going to come, and now you're making a person's life miserable who really shouldn't have any bearing, and especially if you all don't have any children. And that's what we're going to get right into some reasons why I no longer hate my ex. One of the reasons is I realized that hating him really meant that I hated a part of myself.
Right, for sure.
Now, we don't want to admit this, but I decided to stop hating my ex because at one point I didn't hate him. There was a time I was in love with him.
Amen.
There was a time when I was ready to marry him. And so for me to say I hate him means I hate the part of me that loved him. That's crazy. But I didn't see it that way. So there was no way that I could hate him and then fully love myself and fully say I'm worth the investment. There's no way I can do that and hate him at the same time. So I had to come to a point, have an epiphany, or because of the aha moment, I had to say, listen, I'm hating him, but I really hate me for loving him. I hate me for getting fooled by him. I hate me for having children with him. I hate me for being made a fool out of. I let myself, all of this, I'm thinking it's about him. It's all reflective of me. And before I realized it, when you hate you, see, it's different. You can hate somebody else, and it turns into vengefulness and manipulation and petty. But when you hate yourself, it turns into oppression. It turns into depression. It turns into self-sabotaging behavior. It turns into all of these things that are self-destructive. And so that's the biggest reason why I had to stop hating him, because I realized that hating myself meant I was leading myself on the road of despair and destruction.
And the thing about it is, to add to that, is there are always a lot of people who are out of relationships now, and they have a whole lot of bad things to say about the other person.
Right.
And I've always said, because man, she's crazy, man, she's this, or man, he's that. But at the same time, you're really talking about yourself, because if you're saying she's crazy, a part of you must be in that same vein.
Or like crazy.
Yeah, because exactly.
You
or
told
even like crazy because You can't be in a relationship with a person where you love them 1 minute or have a great life from them, how you want to look at it for 1 minute, and then next they're crazy.
Right.
Well, didn't you see that, or are you really a part of that process yourself? That person, rather, yourself.
Right.
And that's what people have to understand. You can't talk bad about this person, and that's somebody you got a baby by, and not be able to look back at yourself and say, wow, I was with him, though.
And not just I was with him, but I loved him enough to create another person that's going to always have a part of him in them.
Right.
And so we have to be careful when we make a decision that we're going to hate somebody. When we make a decision that I just hate him because we didn't always hate him. And so a reason why I stopped hating him and and it's the problem, the answer is in the problem. If I didn't always hate him, then I don't have to always hate him.
That's good.
Does that make sense?
That's true.
Since I didn't always hate him, I don't have to always hate him. Now, let's just be real in this house. Does that mean I have to love him? Does that mean I have to tolerate him or fool with him? You know, the situations, everybody's situation is different. But it doesn't mean I have to embrace him. It doesn't mean that I have to put him back in the place that he used to be. It doesn't mean I have to trust him again. It doesn't mean that I have to become vulnerable to him. Because let's just be honest. There are people that have co-workers. There are people that are in your church. There are people in your own family, your bloodline, that have betrayed you, that have did you wrong, that have stabbed you in the back, that have stolen from you, that have lied on you. And you had to find a way to coexist
together,
with them. And for some reason, what we'll do is we'll put that X in a category by himself. Everybody else, I can deal with her. But we've got to use our minds. It's the same mind. It works the same way. We got to learn how to compartmentalize.
That's a good word, too.
That's a good word. That means I can't put all my eggs in the same. The emotions, and I'm glad I did say that, because here's what's going to help. I know one of the ways I no longer hated my ex was because you got to think about your mind as a storage house with a bunch of boxes. And I cannot operate out of my box of love and hate. Those are strong emotions. And if I want to get past somebody and stop dealing with them, I can't operate with them out of that box, because my strong emotions are reserved for that. I need to put him in that archive box.
Yes. Exactly.
Those are the feelings. You archive stuff when you don't need it anymore. It's still a part. You archive it because it's still a part of your history. And I can't act like I wasn't married to him, but I had to put that in the archive box and put that up. That means I can keep stuff in storage for years. And then have to, I did have that in storage, didn't I? I have to get rid of it. I just don't have to deal with it in my everyday life.
And that's the way to look at that as well. Because it is so critical that we understand that, yes, you may have a child together, and yes, even maybe later on down the line, they may want to come back and try to build a relationship with the kids. But again, you don't have to love them, put them in a particular space that's close to you, but you still have to learn how to coexist, like you were saying earlier.
That's good. Somebody asked a question, and I want to address that. Somebody said, how do you forgive and still guard your heart and emotions? You know, compartmentalization, I'm going to let you answer that. Compartmentalization helps with that. So it's almost, and you know, we always have to go back to the Word of God, because that's kind of that's our foundation and our blueprint. The Bible talks about how God is able to hate our sin and still love us. Not because we're no longer sinners, because the Word of God says, and while we were yet sinners, meaning we were still in the state of doing them wrong. We were still being low down. We were still cheating. We were still lying. We were still acting a fool when he made the decision to still say, I'm going to forgive her, but I'm going to dislike what she's doing and still love her anyway. So what has to happen is he showed us that there is a place, compartmentalization, where, say this is the father of your children. There's a part of you that had to love him, and that will always, here's another reason why you have to realize, because there's a part of you that will always love him. Not love him directly, but those kids, they're part of y'all. And so as much as you mad and hate him, that little man still got those chromosomes. That little girl still has those chromosomes. And you can't embrace her and love her and say, but I hate y'all, daddy. I can't. Because there are some things that make your children unique that, sorry to say it, but some of that came from that side. And so when you begin to compartmentalize this thing, you'll begin to say, I hate what he did. And that's the revelation I got. I can hate what he did and not hate him.
That's good.
And that frees us, because we think that we have to say, I just forgive him and I embrace him. No, it is okay to hate what he did. He cheated. He lied. He neglected me. He was abusive. I hate what he did to me. I do not have to hate him. Number one, if he's an ex, I don't even have to deal with him all the time. So why would I be carrying that kind of baggage about him every day?
And the question, as relates to the question that was raised, you got to understand that when a person has hurt you, when a person has betrayed you, and the question was, how do you go about trusting? And it is difficult. I don't even want to take that lightly. It is difficult to not go into another relationship thinking that this person may do me the same way. So your guard is up. So the one thing you want to do is get to the point where you slow roll it, if you will, into the relationship, and then try to find where the relationship is really going. Because again, women can become so emotionally attached so quick. And holding on to past unforgiveness or thinking that the next person is going to treat you the same way is only going to hinder you, because your mindset is not going to free you up to be the kind person or the loving person that you really want to be, because you're saying to yourself that I don't know if I want to trust again, I don't know if I want to love again. But you've got to find a way to get past that if you're going to be able to get who God has for you. Because if you're holding on to something, saying to yourself, it's not going to work, quite naturally it won't work.
That's right. Somebody else asked the question, but what if the father is a womanizer and you don't want your son to learn his ways?
Wow.
Can I tell you guys something? Wow. And I'm going to go ahead and be honest about it. My ex-husband was manipulative, charming, and a con artist. My middle son, who was not reared by him because I had to raise those children by myself, was manipulative, a con artist, and charming. And I would sometimes look at him and think to myself, how did this boy get this man's traits? And he's not here to get that influence. So I hate to say this, but we're being real.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are some things, and that's why it's important to keep our children covered. Spiritually, mentally, physically, we have to keep them guarded. Because we have to show them. One of the best things that I did for my children, and we'll get into this, we're kind of all over the place with it, which is good because your questions and stuff are great. I had to realize that the best thing I could do for myself and my children was to guard the integrity of that past relationship. Because if I highlighted everything wrong that he did, what I was doing was giving those children something to have in front of them. Your daddy, no, he fooled me. Oh, he cheated all the time. He loved women. You got to remember, you're talking to children, and so there might be a little boy that's a fantasy. That's something that tantalizes him. Right. My daddy loved women, so I'm going to love women too. We have to be careful what we put out there. Right. And so if the dad was a womanizer, because that's what you're asking, you don't have to, and I hate to say this, but if we go back to the Bible, biblically, we were formed and created in iniquity. So there's sin that's already in us. And then when you go in and add the reality of genetics, there are some things innately that are going to be there. They're going to be there. But the best thing that I could do was to raise my boys, to show them, listen, these actions hurt me as a person. Forget why was he doing it and he was this. Here are things I never want you to do to a woman because this will hurt her to her soul. And what I did for my boys was raise boys who are now emotionally protective of me. So that means when they get married and when they date, they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that woman doesn't cry, to make sure that woman isn't feeling those things because they love their mama. And they don't want to see that happen to anybody else. So what I didn't do was berate their dad. What I didn't do was, paint this picture of them, because sometimes you can be painting a picture and you think that picture is awful, but those children can just be in awe of it because they're thinking, well, if he was that awful, you were with him.
Right.
So
kids are smart.
So maybe you might not be telling the truth, Mama, because maybe that thing was cute because You stayed with him and you couldn't get that. And you can't stop talking about him now.
Right. And I want to say one of the worst things you ever want to do for your kids is talk negative about either one, whether you're the mom or the dad. The one thing you don't want to do is talk negative to your kids about them, because that's not going to help at all. And sometimes even the kids grow up being resentful towards you because of the information that you shared that was not maybe 100% accurate. And I shared this the other day on the video that I did the other day. I remember my son specifically asking me one day, he said, "Dad, aren't you supposed to be paying child support?" I said, "Supposed to be?" He said, "Yeah, Mama said you're supposed to be paying child support." I've got to call the 800 number, which they had back then, and it went back for 1 year, so I let him listen to all the payments for 12 whole months. And it was in that year that was the first time that my son ever gave me because it was around Father's Day, it's the first time he ever, and at that time he was 14, gave me a Father's Day card. Because his mom never let him send anything, never would say, send your dad a card. But he grew up, and he said to me that same year, he said, "Man, I appreciate everything you tried to do for me because I didn't get this information accurate from Mom." So for him to ask me, "Am I supposed to be paying child support?"
Right.
That says that she's been saying to him that I don't do that.
That's right. And somebody made a good point. I do have a daughter. And that was what I said in my testimony as well. The other part of that is, I protected his integrity because, believe it or not, women, your daughters, don't just go after you can say, well, I don't want my daughter to be dealt with like this. Oh, your daddy know he was slick. Oh, he used to say crazy things.
That's
and this and that.
did.
So what happened is you don't know it, but you're sensationalizing that. And so in your head, in that girl's head, what they're thinking of is, I think that's kind of cute, charming. I don't mess with him. He's just like your daddy. But then, you're not telling the whole story about it. And so we have to be careful. Or I didn't want her growing up. I said this last night to some people. I didn't want my children growing up with a chip on their shoulder. I didn't want my daughter growing up defensive about men. Women, we have to be very, very careful about our girls, because we can breed in them a distrustful attitude. Because we haven't learned how to let go of hate and anger and know how to forgive, we can't allow that to go in and manifest in our children, because now she's suspicious. Now you can tell it early on. Mama, that little boy like me, but I already know he can be slick like daddy, like you said. He said smooth stuff already. We have to say, and then we have parents that are saying, "That's right, girl. Don't let him do." Listen. That's a cycle that we have to protect against. And so why did I stop hating that man? Because I did not want that cycle in my life to keep going.
You can't. And I want to say something about her kids because they were here with us for probably a week. And I told her she really needs to do a segment just for parents to, if you get a chance to really be around her kids. I've been around a lot of kids, and I'm saying this in all honesty. And I told her, I said, I've never seen kids get along, especially teenagers. Then the oldest one is 20. I've never seen in all my life these kids who are just like their mom. They're interested in their well-being. They're interested in motivational stuff, and just the way they get along with each other is just amazing. So I want her to just one day do a segment just on that, because I promise you she can help bless a lot of single parents with what she has taught her kids. And she talked about how when they were babies, she'd sit them on the lap, look in the mirror, tell them what you see. Oh man, it's just amazing how she instilled those things in her kids. And I see now why they're like they are, because they really have taken on the traits of their mom.
And I appreciate that. Thank you. But one of the reasons that I could do that is because I let go of anger. That leads me to the second reason. Why did I stop hating my ex? Because hating him meant I had no intentions of moving on.
Yeah, and that's so critical, again, because, again, even with myself, I was angry because there were times, just give another good example, I would call before I left Albany, going to Atlanta. I call, go by the house, nobody's there. So I ride around Atlanta till like right after about 9 o'clock, they get home. I say, hey, I'm here. She said, well, I don't open up my door after 9 o'clock. So I drive back to Albany, listen to me, crying like a baby.
Wow.
Asking God, why do I have to go through all this?
Wow.
I called before I left. Now I'll get up there, 7, 8 o'clock, whatever. They get back after 9. I call her. She answers the phone. She said, I don't open up my door after 9 o'clock. I can write a book on this kind of stuff. But the point I'm making is, And the only thing I never say anything bad to my son about her, but the one thing I did always used to tell her personally, I said, the day is coming when my son is going to say, I want to go live with my daddy. And that day came, and when I went up there to get all of his stuff, she didn't help load not one sneaker, not one pair of clothes, piece of clothing, because that day came because she was always making it seem as if I was this bad guy. But the point I'm making is kids will be able to sense through or sift through the stuff that we're telling them, and then that day's going to come when they're going to say, you know what, I want to go be with my daddy.
That's right. My cousin, and she was talking about her children. They are exceptional. Yes, they are. But you made a valid point. She said she doesn't like that the ex shows up for the highlights and that lack of presence. Listen, that was on my list. What made me mad? I was mad because, I'm doing all of this stuff. I'm raising them. I'm training them up. I'm making sure they don't flunk in school. I'm making sure, one time I had to change them from one school to the other. I'm making sure they're not going to school looking neglected. I'm making sure that they're on their A game. And then when they get celebrated, I'm mad because I don't even get to, sit there and get my glory because somebody comes along and says, "Ooh, your daddy said he was so proud of you." What? When? Who did he say that to? Why would he be proud? He didn't have anything to do with that. And I was so mad because I wanted to say he doesn't deserve to get in on this good stuff. His daddy, I just felt like I'm so mad because I'm doing all of this for them. You don't get to walk in like you're the hero after I have poured. You haven't stayed up one night. When they got fevers, you ain't there. Somebody broke an arm, you didn't show up. Christmas came and I had to do what I had to do, work overtime to make sure that they got these gifts on my own. And then you get to show up and be great. Not here. But it wasn't about me. And I had to understand that a child is only looking at, are my parents celebrating my accomplishments?
Right.
So I couldn't because what I was doing was making that about me. He don't deserve to get in on it, but it goes back to what I just said. Listen, baby, half of those chromosomes belong to that man. I don't care what I say. I can sit there, let me tell you how we do women when we want to be petty. We'll sit there and we'll pull out all the characteristics and make them, oh yeah, they get that from me. Oh, that came from my side of the family. Come on. But if we want to tell the truth about that, we can't take all the credit for those great things. There's a combination of something that had to make. I don't care. As mad as I wanted to get, because at one point my little middle kid was a con artist. What I also realized he was charming, and not in a manipulative way, but naturally charming. Now, I'm not naturally charming. I'm kind of, listen, this is who I am. But he is very engaging, and anybody that's met him knows he has this, I can't take credit for that. And so when he gets celebrated, as much as I want to say, I raised that boy because I did, there were some things that came out of him that I had nothing to do with, and that's what I did not want to admit. So why I had to get over hating that man? Because at the end of the day, there were some parts about that man that were going to grow up in those children whether I wanted it to or not.
For sure.
Yeah, and you're right. I just wanted him. But you're talking to a woman, and let me say this to the ladies out there. I get hope. I get it. But my story is, he never showed up. My children this year will be 20, 18, and 16. They're crossing the threshold. One's graduated, getting ready to graduate basic training in the United States Air Force. And now I want to take credit and say, I did that. That was all me. And I did. I raised them. My middle kid graduates next year. And I can say I did that. My baby girl will have graduated in 2 years. And that apology, and that's one of the other things why I stopped hating him, is because I just said it. Hating him meant I decided I wasn't going to move on. If I don't move on, I can't help my children be who they need to be in life. The apology never came. The support never came. That knock on the door never came. He never wanted me to forgive him for doing wrong and put those children under his wing. I never got a back child support check, which I wasn't, and all of our stories are different. I wasn't running behind him to get it because somewhere in me, if the state can't make you pay, then listen, I don't think that man worked a real job anyway. So, whatever you got to do, if you're going to go that far to make sure you don't pay, then I just kind of had to take my hands off of it. So what I'm telling you is, you can want that all day, But there might be a case. Mine never came. I never had the opportunity again. It was me from that point on. And so, that was my next point. I stopped hating my ex because I was waiting for closure that never came. Some of you all that have exes, y'all don't even have kids, but you're waiting. Before I get into this next relationship, he needs to come back and say he's sorry. He needs to ask. And let me tell you, ladies, and I'm going to let you speak to this. A lot of times, ladies, we will create this fantasy in our head that, number one, that the only reason he with somebody else is because he's trying to replace us. Is he really trying to replace us? I'm asking for a friend. No. You got to put that out there, because some women say, that man is really not happy. And this, forget kids for a second. This will say, he just got her. Let me look at her. Look just like me. Look, I can see why he's trying to replace me, because he really want me back. He don't know how to come back. Are y'all really doing that?
No, not at all. Not at all. One of the things I do want to say prior to going to the next piece that she's going to deal with is we have to really get to the place, ladies and gentlemen, of understanding that there may never be closure. And for a man, sometimes it's his pride. Sometimes it's his machoism that will not let him come back and be the bigger person to say, you know what, I'm sorry, I messed up. And so you got to be okay with going through life and not being able to get closure, because some may and some may not. But you can't let that keep you stuck at a place that will not cause you to go a little bit further into finding that type of person that you really need for your life.
And I'm going to tell you something else big and powerful, and it might hurt you, but it'll help you. Some men, and I had to hear this from men personally, some men don't come back because they're ashamed.
Oh yeah, that's another part.
And this is going out. I want to make sure I hit all points. If you were in an abusive relationship, if you were in a relationship where there was infidelity, if you were in a relationship where there was severe neglect, like didn't show up and take care of the kids for a long amount of time, and then they came to their senses and something happened. Sometimes those men, this doesn't excuse them, I'm just telling you, sometimes they get to a state where they're so ashamed, they're thinking to themselves, I can't believe, maybe they did go back and get help. Maybe they did. Because this is the other part, women. We can't assume we know the other side of that story. We can't assume that we know. Right now, I can't say, and my ex-husband walking around somewhere happy, because that's what I used to say. But the truth, I had to stop hating him, and was one of the things I was going to say, because I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know that he's walking around and he's ashamed. He's decided, I don't even have anything to offer. Look at how well they're doing, or look at the place that they are in, and I didn't contribute anything, and they're still okay. Do you know how disheartening that would be for a man to know that I left this woman, I cheated on her, I hurt her, I tried to do all this, but those children are still resilient. They're still, all we looking at it is, but I'm still mad, but I'm still hurt. But those children, you guys said this last night, stop getting so caught up and consumed with what went wrong, and celebrate the fact, number one, that you got free. That was an abusive or a bad relationship, but it's over. He's your ex. I stopped hating him because I realized that ex meant he had exited the situation. And every time I hated him, I was bringing him back into the situation. He's an ex. That means X, the X factor, meaning that he no longer has a significant vital part of my right now. And so I didn't know how to be thankful for the fact that I survived and got past it. I didn't know how to look at the fact of, I want him to be here to help my children, but they're surviving. Yes, it's costing me. Yes, I'm having to sacrifice, but my children are okay. But I woke up the next day better than I was, but I'm still making it.
But the shame does play a big part, because a man, his main focus really in a relationship, if he's a real man, is to be a provider, a protector. He wants to be able to do those things. And so when a man is not able to contribute as he really wants, or should I say, as he was created to do, it does bring about shame, because he's feeling like I'm inadequate. I'm not at that place where I can do for my kids or whatever the case may be. And that plays a major role in a man's thinking when he's not able to protect, provide for his family.
And here's one for the gentleman. How do I deal with him when he comes around? So if I do have these feelings and he shows up, I'll tell you as a woman, The worst thing you can do is wear your, and I'm going to tell you because, and especially if you're a parent, wearing your feelings on your sleeve is the worst thing you can do. Do you know how much power? If I'm mad at Lawrence and he's past the situation and he's not mad anymore, the worst thing I can do is we're coming to an event that has nothing to do with us, and I can't even enjoy it because I'm looking at you. Right. I'm letting you know you still affect me. You still have power. And do you know what? Why would I do anything to take that away? I got power over you still after all of that. So what will happen is that woman that you're giving that man come around and you showing him, I'm so angry. Y'all coming together for an event for the children, and the child can't even enjoy the fact, not that y'all are together, but that they have their parents there because you're too busy looking at him like, oh, you showed up?
And don't let him bring his girlfriend.
And don't let him bring that one that he's moved on to. You can't function. That's why I said I stopped hating that man because I realized that I had to move on. And hating him meant I want to be stuck where I was at. Right.
There's a phrase that says, he who angers you controls you.
That's right.
And so whenever you have a situation where a person is, and when I say anger, I'm saying make you feel some type of way, or even make you feel angry. You're like, man, I can't believe he came here with his girlfriend. And so you're in that phase rather of anger and bitterness. And so you have to realize that when you put yourself in that position, you are still allowing that person to control you, and you probably just don't even realize it.
Don't even realize it. And my cousin said something funny. He needs to leave that girl alone. But let me tell you what happens. What we'll do if we don't realize it is we will start judging ourselves by what they do after us. Now listen,
That's true.
We'll start doing that. If they didn't take care of the kids they had with us, and then they get with somebody else, and now they family man.
Right.
Well, this comes up to my next point. I stopped hating that man because it nullified who I was in the relationship.
Exactly.
If I hate him, and let's say I was the good person in that relationship, and I didn't do anything wrong, and I was faithful, and I, stayed with him even after this, and I hung in there and still left anyway. If I decide to hate them, I'm nullifying the good things that I did do. I can't discount, and what will happen is it'll nullify, and what I'll say is nobody will get that part of me anymore. Oh no, I used to be caring. I used to always do, but the last person to get, I will not. I can't nullify who I really am because something didn't work out. Because that takes something away from me. And if I nullify it, that means I'm going to say, well, why wasn't I good enough? And he got this chick. She don't even like kids. So what, and we have to be careful because we'll say, well, why is he playing daddy for them? And I could, every time I look up, because you're still stalking his Facebook page and you're still interviewing people that know him. And I heard they just went to Six Flags. Our family never went on a vacation. Right. You're deciding to be stuck. And you don't need to be stuck. That man has a life, or that woman has a life. Listen, I got to talk to the fellas. She left. It's over. She moved on, and now you're dealing with people to pass the time, but you're still finding out why she wearing that dress. Didn't I buy? Listen, let that go. Because if you hate her, if you're angry, you're deciding that you do not want to move on past it.
And even if you decide to try to get into another relationship, you're not going to be able to give of yourself holistically because you're thinking about who she's with and all these other things that's happening. So you're still shortchanging yourself even from that perspective because you're taking that same hurt, that same anger, that same bitterness to the next relationship, and the only thing you're going to do is damage that person as well.
That's right. And somebody made a comment. She'll not like your kids, not because of that. A lot of that time is if you're dealing with a man who hasn't learned how to stop hating you, then the person he's with, all they're going to get is all the bad stuff that man feels about you. And it's naturally going to bleed over until everybody, I know she over there poisoning those kids, and they don't like me, all of that. So a lot of times, all of that is the cycle of hate. And so if we don't, I only have a few more points, and we're almost done. If you hate that man, I stopped hating my ex because I realized that it kept me from being open to love again.
Yeah.
Now, what'll happen, you want to know how to tell if you really still hate that man? You try to get into another relationship, and it flunks. Because somewhere you can't receive that man's love. You're already, whether he was great or not, you're already looking for signs that he's going to do what that man did to you before. You're still hating him. You're still angry. And so the now relationship can't work because the then relationship didn't work. And you haven't stopped hating.
And that's really the critical part, because we have to drive this part home, because you have to realize it's you that's the one who's being hindered. You're being stifled. Your growth, you can't even grow because you're still holding on to those things that keep you from that next relationship. And so you're taking all of these things, these mindsets into that next relationship, and it's not going to work because you're going to come back to square one.
That's right. My last one, why I no longer hate my ex, is because I had to come to the realization that his livelihood, his happiness had nothing to do with mine. I'm going to go ahead and say this, and this is not going to be a nice thing to say, but it's a true thing to say. And I'm always raw, real, and relevant. I had to make a decision, and I can't speak for somebody else. But some women make a decision that they're angry because they've decided to make a career out of being a baby mama. I'm just going to get the check. Ooh. And so you're mad when the check doesn't come because you've decided that I'm going to base my livelihood off of that money. And if he's not coming through with it, you're just going to create a dependency. Whether he's supposed to pay it or not, that check isn't meant to be your livelihood. Or you're basing your whole life on his ability to co-parent, to pick those kids up. So now my whole life is going to fall apart because I planned the weekend, and the weekend I want him to get these kids, he had something else to do. His new wife wanted him to go out for somewhere else, and my whole life is just devastated. I cannot center my now life around whatever he has going on. I just said at the beginning, compartmentalization means I have to put that somewhere and say, whether he shows up or not, my children have to be taken care of. Whether or not listen, my ex-husband, I had to get on a plane to fly to Africa. This trip was planned, my job was on the line, months in advance. Wow. I think it was the day of, drove my car to his parents, his mom's house, because that's where he was. That man had parked the car at the grocery store next door. It was raining. My children got out and knocked on the door. He would not answer the door. Wow. Because he hated me, wanted to keep me from my flight. Had I lost my flight, I would have lost my job. Had I lost my job, I would not have been able to take care of my children. And so what I could have done was just fall apart. Oh my goodness, this man, let me get consumed. Listen, I'm grown and I have a job to do. So what I had to decide was, let me find plan B, because you won't catch me without one. Call my great cousin who I love right now and said, I know this is last minute, but I got to be on a plane. I'm leaving Africa and I'll spend another week in New York. I will take care of you, but can you get my kids? I have been left and it is an emergency. What I could have done was spend all of that time angry. So angry that I couldn't move on. But we've got to decide. When I didn't hate him, I learned how to live past him. And that was important. We have a question, and it's critical. That's why I'm being transparent. We have a question that says, is it possible that it's just hurt rather than hate? Listen, there's a difference. Let me tell you something that I had to learn.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting. I'm going to tell you, and Dr. T, we were talking about this earlier on the show. Your emotions have a lot to do with how you're feeling at that moment, but what happens mentally, that's a whole nother process. And so the hurt part is the residue of the hate. You're angry, you're bitter, and after that, because like Dr. T said, and go back and watch our Unhealthy Soul Ties, when he's no longer in front of you, your body, your emotions don't have the capacity to keep building up hate every day. So what happens is, as the hate subsides, what happens is what's left, the residue, disappointment, hurt, sense of failure. It can turn into depression. And so now you have all of these components that have come after that because you didn't deal with the hate. Now, look at the little friends that hate brought. Now, all of these things have long-standing consequences. For sure. And so that's why it is so important. Why I no longer hate him, because I didn't want it to turn into bitterness, because I didn't want it to turn into resentment, because I didn't want to be depressed 10 years later and him and his family got a yacht somewhere and they moved on and I'm still mad in my apartment because I'm waiting on a check I'm not going to get. I had to stop hating.
That is the key. Now, the question about the hate and the hurt, both of them are damaging.
That's right.
I'll say that much. You can call it hurt, you can call it hate, but at the end of the day, it's still not only, but it's affecting you and those who are surrounded by you. So again, either one of them, you need to rid yourself of.
And the biggest thing about all of this, and for the last 4 episodes, I think I've been saying this. You want to be successful, forgive. You would be surprised at how forgiveness frees you. And I know it's easy to say forgive. It is easy, but listen to me. When you start, don't let anybody fool you. Forgiveness isn't an epiphany. It's gone. It's a process. And so what you might have to do, because especially women, the same way that we kept track of everything he did wrong, we might need to take track in saying each one of those things. Today, I forgive him for being a liar. Tomorrow, I'm going to forgive him because he cheated.
You ain't got enough fingers.
Listen, I'll be here all day. But guess what? Every day, as I'm releasing that thing, listen, I can't hold all of that because I got to make room for love. I got to make room for creativity. I got to make room for the rest of my life that does not need to be held on to somebody who is not thinking about me.
One of the things that they suggest also is when you have those type of situations, whether you're trying to get rid of bitterness, anger, hurt, they say you should write it on a piece of paper, put it in a fire, burn it up.
Burn it up.
As you're releasing it. And it gives you this other sense of it's gone now. And you want to do whatever you got to do, whatever it takes, by whatever means necessary, as they say. So if you're saying, I'm getting rid of this because of X, Y, Z, take that, put it in some fire, let it be gone.
And I'm going to say this last thing. We said this when we did our Unhealthy Soul Ties. A lot of you all hate because you still have reminders of what used to be good, and that makes you angry. Why is that family portrait still in your house? Y'all been divorced 5 years, and that's when we were happy. Listen, tell your mama, respect your wishes, and take it out of her house. Because every time you come, you look at it. That's when I used to be happy, and he ruined me. Move it. And so you still hold on to that wedding dress. I just like to look in my closet and be remembered. Let it go. You still holding on to that ring. I'm not getting rid of those are remnants, and so what happens is it reinforces who he used to be, not who he is right now. He's not yours anymore. So I can't hold on to all of the things that made me claim him, because if that happens, every time I see him doing something else, I'm looking like he's supposed to be with them. We gotta let that go.
Gotta let it go. Gotta have to let it go.
Listen, I'm glad you guys joined us. What I really, I know a lot of people, that told me because we changed over nights, this isn't the night they usually watch. And so they definitely said, listen, I got to go back and watch this because this is a big deal for me. I was completely transparent. We were transparent up here because this is something that affects people all the time.
Sure.
It is, and it's not a, quick fix, this is over. What we would like for you all to do is, we're opening the conversation. If there are long-standing issues, other things that you want to talk about, listen, how do I deal with this part of it? Because this is a conversation, a growing conversation. Inbox us, send us messages about the part of that you would like us to address.
Sure.
Because we want to make sure that we are fostering healthy relationships. Our children are at stake. Our self-esteem is at stake. Our peace is at stake. Our community is at stake. When we hate, when we allow ourselves to live in resentment, when we allow ourselves to be mad because it didn't work out, when we allow ourselves to be angry, we live in that state. I know a lot of you guys were somewhere tonight, and I know you got back late, and we're done. But please go back and watch this video. Please share it on your page, because somebody is going to be able to identify with what they're hearing tonight. Again, go ask questions. Send us emails, inboxes, direct messages, whatever you have to do, and say, but what about this part? Because we want everybody to be whole, and we want everybody to be free, and we want everybody to get past the hate, because there's a way to break free from bitterness.
And definitely it. And if you go back and listen, we got 5 steps.
Five steps.
Reasons why I no longer hate my ex.
Thank you guys for joining us. We will go back to our regularly scheduled program next week, but we wanted to come on and do this very special edition, so we will not be on this Thursday. We did this instead, but please check us out next week.
And also, the last Sunday of this month, the 29th, I believe it is, we'll be on the dialogue with Carla Heath Sands that Sunday morning. I believe it comes on at 9 o'clock, I believe it is.
We'll post the information as well.
We'll post it. And that's another great conversation. Know you before you say I do.
Whoa.
That was a conversation that we had today on Dialogue. Well, we taped it today, but it'll be on the end of the month. You don't want to miss it. And we got some great things coming up, and we're looking forward to your support as you've been doing already.
Thank you, guys. Good night.